Welcome to our show, 3 interesting facts about rats. Today with our special guest, Jane Doe. Number 1. Did you know that rats gnaw on things because their teeth keep growing indefinitely? Number 2. Rats can actually laugh when tickled, even though that one sounds more like squeaking. Number 3. There are even certain cultures who are worshipping rats, such as these cultured fellows here, which I unfortunately have to censor. And the bonus fact: adult rats are also fertile every 3 weeks. Okay, that has been by far the weirdest intro I have ever done. So anyway, let's cover her kit and how to maximize her damage potential, all of her combos, her best disk drive sets and stats, her weapons, her Mindscapes, her teams and rotations, and let's have a look at her pros and cons. Welcome, I am Rivenous, and this is your complete guide to Jane Doe. We will start with an overview of her kit, then proceed to her combos. If you already know what her kit does, you can safely skip this part, chapters are in the description. Starting with her unique resource Passion, whenever any of Jane Doe's skill inflicts any damage, she will gain Passion. While exact numbers aren't stated in-game from a lot of pixel counting, these seem to be the numbers for all of her possible actions. Pause if you need to, they might not be 100% accurate. When she reaches 100% Passion, she enters the Passion state, and while in the Passion state, all of her skills will now consume Passion instead of gaining it. With the exception of her channel charged attack, which is the spin to win, also called Salcho Jump. Entering the Passion state will grant her exactly 1 charge of this attack, and while she can only hold a maximum of exactly 1 charge, well, unless she is Mindscape 1, the charge is not lost upon leaving the Passion state. In addition, during her Passion state, she also gains increased anomaly build-up up to 600 additional flat combat attack based on her anomaly proficiency, and her dash attack and dodge counter change to an enhanced version of themselves. Dodge and dodge counter will also restore a significant amount of Passion during her Passion state. If played right, you can easily stay inside the Passion state for 30 to 45 seconds, if not even longer. Finishing up her basic attacks, she features a 6-part basic attack string and various skips to different parts, depending on if you are in your Passion state or not and when you enter it. More on that shortly in the combo section. She also features 2 different dodge counters and dash attacks outside and 1 of each during her Passion state. Her EX special costs 60 energy, and aside from that, there is honestly not much else to it otherwise. Her chain attack and ultimate inflict some incredible anomaly build-up, however it should be noted that only the last hit of her ultimate can actually proc assault, which means as seen here you might actually waste a lot of assault and hence damage if not timed well. Both of them will also have you re-enter the Passion state and hence grant you another charged attack. This means a combo base of enter the Passion state, then charged attack, chain, charged attack, ultimate, charged attack is possible, and we will make use of this, well, in a similar fashion later in our combos. Her assists are not very special, so let's finish up her kit with her core skill. Her core skill has honestly a lot of text, and to summarize this, when she hits an enemy, she extends the duration of flinch and allows assault to critically strike. Her additional ability requires another anomaly unit or a unit of the same faction, and when this condition is met, she gains 20% anomaly build-up and an additional 15% when the enemy is suffering from any attribute anomaly. That wraps up her kit, and that means we can now continue with the spicy parts, namely her combos. First we will cover her possible combos outside her Passion state, and afterwards do her combos during her Passion state, unless they overlap. Since we will most of the time be inside of our Passion state, let's give the non-Passion state combos more of a quick glance than going in depth into those. Also, they fortunately only are 2.5. Why and a half, you might ask? Well, our first possible combo, if we want to call it that, is dash attack into basic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, because the dash attack actually doesn't do anything here, unless you want to stack her weapon, I would not recommend on using this, however I wanted to include it anyway for completeness sake. The other two possible combos are either Quick Assist or Dodge Counter into basic 3, 4, 5 and 6. Let's instead continue with the combos inside the Passion state. These will be much more applicable since you will hopefully spend most of your time inside this state. During her Passion state, her dash attack can actually be followed up by her basic 4, which leaves us with the following combo. Dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6. We can also extend that combo with our charged attack and EX special, which leaves us with our first final burst combo of dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6 into charged attack into EX special. Being attacked and having to dodge is not a problem either, since we can use the following combo for that scenario. Dodge counter into basic 5 and 6. That combo can be extended as well, which is our second final burst combo. Dodge counter into basic 5 and 6 into charged attack into EX special. Her EX special can unfortunately not be followed up with any of her basic 4 or 5 or anything fancy for that matter, so we have to input a dash attack directly afterwards, which actually plays into our favor anyway if we have her signature weapon. Which leaves us at EX special into dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6 into charged attack. If you have enough energy left, we can finish this combo with yet another EX special. During her Passion state, her Quick Assist also changes and can now be followed up by her basic 5 as well, which makes this combo Quick Assist into basic 5 and 6. Regardless of her current state, her assist follow-up can also always be followed up with her basic 3, which leaves us at defensive assist into assist follow-up into basic 3, 4, 5 and 6. Including her chain and ultimate resets for her charge attack, which by the way is called again the Salcho jump, we can do the following burst combo. Chain into Salcho into dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6 into ultimate into another Salcho into EX special. If timed correctly, everything until including the ultimate will fit into the enemy stun window and you can get off the second Salcho without repercussions due to the enemy still being in their recovery phase. Here is also an overview of all of the combos shown so far. Feel free to pause the video, take a screenshot or whatever you feel like. If you wanna go super crazy, combining everything we have learned up until now leaves us with the following super combo, which only takes around 31 seconds, which by the way is extremely long and is hence also super unrealistic to pull off. But yeah, here you go anyway. Chain attack into dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6 into charge attack into EX special into another dash attack basic 4 into ultimate into dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6 into another charge attack into EX special and lastly into either dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6 or a dodge counter into basic 5 and 6. However, given all of these combos, there is a big but behind all of that. No, not that but. Yeah, that one. While you can skip your basic 1, 2 and 3 using the dash attack, it will apply about 75% less anomaly, taking passion point consumption and time into account. The anomaly by time per passion point for dash attack is 1.15, whereas for the basic 1, 2 and 3 it is 2.02. So what is the takeaway from all of this? If you have her signature weapon, using a dash combo once in a while is good to maintain the weapon stack if you need to. If you do not have her signature or are already at her signature's max stacks, using her dash attack is a damage loss and I would highly advise you not to use it and use basic 1, 2, 3 instead. Lastly, combos are just that. Combos. Most of the time, given the field time she would like and if the enemy is not stunned, we will resort to a dodge counter into basic 5 and 6 anyway. And given that, here are the main damage combos adjusted to not include the dash attack and make use of basic 1, 2 and 3 instead. Again, take into account your weapon and decide situationally which combo is better to use. And that is the perfect segue to today's video sponsor. Myself. That's right, I don't have a sponsor for this video, or most videos for that matter, but these videos and especially the spreadsheets behind take a lot of time to make, so if you already made it this far, I really would appreciate a like and a comment on the video, and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, so you don't miss out on future Zenless Zone Zero guides and other content. Thanks, back to the video. Because her damage profile is largely anomaly based, regardless if played in a monophysical or anomaly team, the overall skill levels of her, well, skills do not matter much since anomaly infliction does not scale with skill levels. However, leveling those is still important, and by far the most important are her core skill enhancements, since these give her Anomaly Mastery and base attack, which does help her overall damage by actually quite a lot. This leaves the final skill priority at core skill into basics and dodge into EX special and ultimate into assist. For her weapons, surprise, her signature weapon is her best in slot. Oh, and she actually gains an insane amount of damage from her R5 signature, so if you feel like wailing, that is not too bad of a choice actually. However, as per usual, don't spend money you don't have and spend reasonably please. An R5 Rainforest, Weeping Gemini or even Electro Lip Gloss are her next best options, with their R1 versions being right behind. Gray's signature weapon Fusion Compiler lags unfortunately behind by quite a bit. Reason here being that weapon's main stat being pen ratio, which unfortunately is just not that great, and it requires the constant and frequent use of her special and EX special. Regarding her disk drives, a 4-piece Fang Metal is her best in slot, and either a 2-piece Hormone or a 2-piece Freedom Blues does well to finish up her slots. While a 2-piece Hormone can outperform a 2-piece Freedom, that largely depends on your substat rolls and overall anomaly proficiency including your weapon. Honestly, Freedom is likely here the better choice, the worse your equipment is, as anomaly proficiency is harder to come by than attack, and we want to make sure to have enough anomaly proficiency to satisfy her passion state requirements. However, don't sweat it, both are fantastic choices for the 2-piece set. For her main stats, while Anomaly Proficiency in slot 4 and Anomaly Mastery in slot 6 are her best options depending on if you have her signature or not, attack percent can be slightly ahead of physical damage if you do have her signature. However, the difference is so small that for most cases it does not matter much. Her by far most important main stat, however, is Anomaly Mastery in slot 6, so take care of that first. As for her substats, we want to look out for Anomaly Proficiency first and foremost, then attack percent, and lastly crit values, flat attack and flat pen. All of us leaves us with her Mindscapes. They are good, very good in fact, especially the first two. Her Mindscape 1 allows you to stay in the passion state even longer, and in my opinion it already is pretty freaking long if played correctly, so the main point here being the additional anomaly build up and extra damage gain. Both of these are really good. For her Mindscape 2, well, it is extremely strong. You will always trigger Assault, and not only does this Assault now ignore 15% defense, but it also crits for 50% more, which results in a tremendous damage boost. For her M3 and M5, they don't matter much since Jane is an anomaly unit and skill levels don't do much for her. Her M4 grants the entire team anomaly damage bonus, and that is not properly reflected in her own damage since it also buffs your other anomaly units' damage, for example Grace or Burnous. Basically, if you run her in a dual carry setup, for example with Grace or later on probably Burnous, this Mindscape will massively gain value. In regards to her Mindscape 6, it is a bit underwhelming. Sure, she gains some crit, but this crit does actually not really help her that much. The assault itself does not gain set crit bonuses, and she by herself does not do enough damage to justify crit values. The most important part of her M6 is she will literally never be outside of her passion state anymore except if you go AFK. But to be fair, if played correctly, you should rarely find yourself outside of said passion state anyway. And that brings us to her teams. Jane currently has a little bit of a problem in regard to her teams, and that is that she does not have many great options. Her most notable teammates, for now at least, are Seth, Grace, Chingy, Collidor, Lucy and Rina, with Burnous and possibly Caesar joining the ranks later on. Piper is another theoretical option, however both Piper and Jane want to take the field during the enemy stun window, and I will be honest, Jane just outperforms Piper. However, it is a team option, so I did want to mention it here. These are all her in my opinion current best team options, plus Piper, on screen right now, so let's talk about them. Let's start with Jane, Grace and Rina. Reason here being that both Grace has been labeled as a bad disorder unit and Rina has been incredibly hyped. I want to look at this as neutral and objective as possible. So here are some calculations solely for Jane. Keep in mind, this is not the team's damage and does not fully represent what the respective unit actually brings to the entire team. If you have Rina and her signature, she can get very close to Chingy in regards to Jane's damage contribution. However, there are a few points which we have to talk about which are often overlooked. While Rina does provide 10% electric damage bonus, that is only while an enemy is shocked. And since we play Disorder, that will actually not help us much, because we remove the shock. Furthermore, she extends the shock duration by 3 seconds. This can be great if you are able to proc Disorder within those 3 seconds. However, set damage gain is basically nullified, at least in regards to Disorder, if we don't do that. Of course, we still gain the 3 shock procs. Pen ratio is also unfortunately a pretty shitty stat, but as we can see, it does its job. However, a large part of that job is her signature weapon, and looking purely at the other bonuses she grants, Lucy gets extremely close by just providing 600 flat combat attack. This also ignores any damage Lucy, well, and Rina for that matter, does while they are off field, which at least in the case of Lucy is actually quite a lot. Also, if we now start taking Lucy's weapon into consideration, yeah, she gets extremely close to Rina. Lastly, regarding Rina, pen ratio is part of the accumulation process for anomalies. That means applying the pen ratio shortly before the anomaly procs is not actually doing, well, anything. This also means we have to swap in Rina about once every 8 seconds, and from playing said team, that has been personally extremely annoying, if not sometimes even unrealistic to me. This is the biggest caveat in my opinion, and her signature requires us to basically do the same. However, having her Mindscape 1 helps with that quite a bit, even if not with her signature. However, instead, if you have Lucy and her signature, especially at R5, we could just play that and not really worry about anything. So, is Rina bad? No, she is not, but she requires a lot of things to take care of, which can be pretty annoying, and unless you are a hardcore sweaty gamer, I would recommend you to pick an easier team to play. Rina is not one of the easier teammates. To conclude this part, Jane's current best team is Jane with Chingy and Seth, with Jane, Chingy and Lucy coming in second place. Disorder teams with Grace are an option, however, they are not her best teams and not the optimal choice. However, that is also yet another point, the feeling. So let's talk about Grace instead, because feelings don't matter. Grace is not built for anomaly teams is a sentence I've heard quite often. And while there's some truth to it, there are a few things to think about. Apparently, Grace needs a lot of time to apply shock, which I personally would like to argue against. My Grace here is even using Thunder Metal. However, Grace does require you to line up your EX special with your Zap stacks. Grace also is easier to play with a 4-piece Freedom Blues instead of a 4-piece Thunder Metal for a Disorder team, but swapping disk drive sets should really not be your main concern when talking about optimal play. Grace would also rarely be played by herself as her sole electric unit, which means other members such as Rina, Chingy or Seth will help with the build up as well. Hopefully though not too much, since that would lower Shock's damage after all. Regardless, the main point being, while Grace needs some field time to do her thing, she does not need a lot, and while she is not Jane's best teammate, it is the only other anomaly unit right now who is competitive, since Piper takes too much field time from Jane. Next up, Seth. Seth is one of Jane's best partners and about even with Chingy, Lucy and possibly Rina, at least if Rina has her signature, and well, you also need to pair Rina with Grace, and if you also like Rina's playstyle. However, compared to Rina, who needs Grace to function well, Seth does not. I honestly don't really have too much to say about Seth, he is a fantastic teammate for Jane. So basically, what does all of this mean? Honestly, pick any of these teams, they are fine. If you are a meta sweat gamer, you will know what to look for, and if not, you likely just want to see if you can build a team with the units you have. So yeah, there you go. Also don't forget that the feeling of a specific team is a pretty important part as well, as for me personally, both Seth and Rina did not feel nice to play in these teams. Instead, I personally preferred Collida by quite a lot, and that is okay. If I can clear Shio defense with an S rank, it does not matter which team I pick. Seth fucked with my brain and the swap order, though that is a skill issue, and swapping Rina in mid combo to have the pen ratio felt really bad to me. But if you like playing her and can handle the constant swaps, do it, she is not a bad unit to pick. And to conclude all of that, here are my personal top picks for her teams. Please note, her disorder options are in my opinion quite a bit behind your other teams. And that wraps up her teams, so we can finally get to her pros and cons. Let's start with the con. Her team options are pretty limited right now. On the other hand, for her pro, with Burnus releasing soon, she will age incredibly well and more team options will become available for her. However, Jane's very best teammates are also S-rank agents, and not having Jingyi, Rina, Grace or even Lucy's signature weapon, if you want to run Lucy, it will lower your options and damage drastically. For her pros, because she is an anomaly unit, she is relatively easy to build as we can save on resources on her skills. Depending on how you look at it, her signature is really good, and so are her Mindscapes 1 and 2. However, she also has some good free-to-play weapon options in Rainforest Gourmet or Weeping Gemini. And lastly, she is extremely fun and fluid to play, though that is just my opinion. And with that, we have finally reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. If you have already watched the entire video, please consider leaving a like and a comment. Let me know if you're pulling for Jane Doe or not. Don't forget to subscribe, and I wish you a great day. Peace.